What's good, everybody? It is your boy Ghost Rider. Yes, Ghost Rider. I changed my YouTube channel name, and that will actually be my CB handle as well. Just Be More Dark Knight just didn't roll off the tongue well. And I'm actually a fan. Yes, I'm a fan of the Dark Knight. And I'm also a fan of the Marvel Comics hero, Ghost Rider. So, Ghost Rider rolled off the tongue a lot better than Be More Dark Knight. Seemed a little too long. But anyway, enough of that. That's not what this video is about. This video is about my first month as a solo driver and some of the additional lessons learned that I had since my last video. So, first of all, let's talk about pre-plans. All right. You get your pre-plan through your dial-in app, and you can also, and what you should be doing is opt in to receive pre-plans via text message on your phone as well. Now, the pre-planned message that you get on your text message is just basic information. You have a pickup from this city between these times, and then you have to deliver it to this city between these times, date and times, right? So that's all the information you get on the text message. So you actually physically have to go in to the dial-in app and look at your pre-plans, right? And at times, the times that are on the pre-plan that you received on your phone may not jive with the times that are on the pre-plan on your app. So definitely go with the information that's on the app, right? Now, the second thing that may not jive is I had a load going to the Kellogg's facility in Muncie, PA, I had a pickup. So I get there with my empty, and it said I could pick up anywhere from such a time to midnight. So, and then drop it off the next day, and the drop-off was in PA. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go pick it up. I'm going to take it back to the terminal, and I'm going to do, I'm going to wait. I'm going to sit on it because it's not due until later that next day. Then I'm going to go home, and I'll do my reset, and then I'll come back out, and I'll drop it off, right? Well, they fooled my plans. So what I mean by that is when I got to the facility, I got there at 10 o'clock, right? I got the load late anyway, got to the facility at 10 o'clock. They said that I could drop off and pick up anywhere before midnight. So I'm there. I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I get there, gates are closed. The only person that I see moving around is a yard jockey, which he was way too far off in the distance for me to say anything to. So there's a number at the security gate, so I call that number, and the gentleman, I said, hey, I'm from Swift. I'm here to drop off empty. I got a pickup. Here's my pickup number, BL number. And he was like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but your company knows that we close at 8 o'clock, and we don't start doing, we don't open up until 6. So I had already done my due diligence by, going to Google, and I checked to see, how I'm getting into the facility. And number two, are they a 24-hour operation, like the pre-plan said? Sure enough, Google says 24-hour operation. But like anything in the computer world, or like most things in the computer world, the input that's on the website was done by a human. And the website was wrong. So luckily, there was a very small parking area across the street, but there was only one truck there, and I imagine he was doing the same thing that I was going to do, having to sit overnight and wait to do my delivery the next morning, or pick up the next morning. So I do that, do my pickup, and just that. I sit overnight, got up somewhere around 8 o'clock, And then at 9 o'clock is when I went, turned the truck around, went into the facility, did my drop and hook, no problem. Did my delivery, no problem. So that is, the lesson learned for that one. The first part is understand that your pre-plans may not always match up. All right, you do your due diligence and find out if the facility is 24 hours. You can look up Google. Google may be right. The best thing to do, if you really want to know, is to call the shipper or the receiver and find out if those times are actually accurate as far as are they a 24-hour operation. Most of these DCs are 24-hour operations. I find very few of them that aren't. So, next lesson learned. As many of you know, I was involved in what I think was a rock slide. It had to be, but I was going to the same place, Muncie, PA, to the Kellogg's, and on the way there's mountains. There's a long strip of a 2-lane highway, and it was raining. And then, for those of you who live in PA or in other places that understand this, you understand that in PA, they do not believe in streetlights in these dark back roads. So I was driving for miles upon miles upon miles with no streetlights, right? So on my way up there, I hear this, it's raining. I hear, all of a sudden I hear this loud crash, bang, crash. I know I didn't hit anything, all right, because on the right side of me is nothing but a mountain wall, right? And that's still another probably good 10 feet away from me. So I knew that wasn't it. I knew I didn't hit anything on the left side of me because there were no cars coming in my direction. There was no cars passing me. I knew I didn't hit anything in front of me because there was nobody in front of me, and of course, if I'm driving forward, I couldn't have backed into anybody. So, all right, I couldn't pull over because there was nowhere to pull over. So I get to the facility after I talk to the security guard, and I sleep overnight. I wake up the next morning before I go do the delivery. I just, I had even kind of forgot about it. And as I'm doing my pre-trip, I'm looking, I'm like, whoa, truck is damaged. So what happened was it had to be a rock slide because the cab extender, the rubber piece was hanging off. The metal part of the cab extender was pushed in and out just a little bit. And the top part of the cab extender was cracked. The bottom part of the cab extender was cracked. So needless to say, my truck was in the shop, but I put it in during its B maintenance so we can get it all done at one time. So with that, I had, once I reported it, I didn't do a macro 52 because it wasn't really an accident. It was just, they counted it as natural, something to do with nature. So I had talked to my guy at my terminal, and he was like, "Hey, call this number, claims department. They're gonna ask you some questions. They're gonna give you a claim number. They're gonna ask you to send pictures to a number that they're gonna give you." So I did all of that. A couple of days later, a young lady called me asking me about how I was feeling, and she assumed that I was going to make a medical claim. And when another lady called me back, I was like, no, I'm perfectly fine. I just had a headache, but that didn't have anything to do with that. She closed that part of it out. And again, my truck is in the shop now. It should almost be done. I'm just waiting to get back on the road. I got some training coming up this week for the military, so I will not be rolling this week. Next time I get on the road will be around about the 20th. So I got some time to chill and hang out with the family and do some military training at the same time. Uh, so the next lesson was since my truck was going in the shop, they were giving me a loaner. So they gave me like 5 sets of keys overall. Go and check these trucks. Three of the sets of keys were day cabs. So I had to give those back. I was like, I'm over the road. You gave me day cabs. That is not going to work for me. So the other 2 trucks, one was completely smoked. Like, I don't know. It was like somebody created cigarettes in that truck. It was so nasty. Not doing that one. Next truck, I found just filthy inside. Filthy inside, outside. Just nasty. Couldn't do that. So they finally said, well, none of these trucks work for you. Walk around the yard and see what truck does. So I finally found a Freightliner. Looked at it in great condition. The only thing that was wrong with it at that time was the refrigerator. As soon as you open the refrigerator, it smelled of death in there. So I cleaned that out, got the smell of death out, put some baking soda, a box of baking soda in there to absorb that. Good to go. Get ready to go on the trip. I had a trip to Chicago, Illinois. Getting ready to go drop the empty off, pick up the load, take it back to the terminal, and then start early the next morning towards Chicago. Well, that plan got foiled because, and this is, why pre-trips are so important. So, the night, so I had already did a load with this truck. And it was a short load. It was like 100 miles with MPA. So I did the load. Boom, everything was working fine. I go hook up to another trailer, right, that night because when I came back, when I got to the facility, dropped off my load, they were low on empties. So I got a message to just come back to the terminal and pick up an empty from there. So cool, did that. I hooked up. When I did my post trip, everything was working. Next morning, getting ready to roll, doing my pre-trip, and the lights aren't working. So I'm thinking, all right, not a problem. So I call my terminal window and I tell them, hey, I need to unhook from this trailer and I'm going to hook to this trailer because the lights aren't working. So I get to the next trailer, same thing. Lights aren't working. So now I realize it is the tractor, right? And before I disconnected from the first trailer, I had, pulled the electrical line, see if there's any dust or anything that was keeping keeping it from connecting, right? So I cleaned the dust out, boom, hooked it back in, nothing. So I went to where that electrical line hooks into the tractor, pulled that out, whole bunch of dust in there, cleaned that out, hooked it back in, look, still nothing. Third thing I did was just completely shut the truck down, turned the battery switch off, waited for about a couple minutes, turned it back on, checked the lights again, still nothing. So then that's when I went over and got another trailer. Hooked into that trailer, started pre-tripping, same results. So now I know it's the tractor. So now I had to put that tractor into the shop, which means And at that day, or on that day, there was nobody in the shop because the shop people had already left for the day, and I wasn't walking around for another hour or two to find uh, a loaner when I already knew that the loaners that were out there were not even in good running condition at all. So wasn't going to do that. So they ended up taking me off that 700-mile trip, and now both trucks are sitting in the shop. So yeah, pre-trip is very important, even to the smallest of things. And I see a lot of truck drivers, you know, they'll check the oil real quick, they'll check the fluids, and then they'll get off and they'll just take off rolling. You know what? Anything can go wrong at any time. Pre-trip, very important. Okay, knock it out. It's too easy. Once you get used to your truck, you're never going to get used to a trailer unless you're an owner operator. You know, you have your own trailer too. But as a company driver, you're never going to get used to a trailer. So you'll know your truck after you've been on it for a while, but you won't know that trailer. So you need to pre-trip that trailer. Okay. Another reason why pre-tripping is so important is, I guess it was already done for me, thank goodness. So I was at another facility in PA, went to pick up, dropped my empty off, and in the same parking lot was my load. So I went and picked that up, got the bill of lading, and on the bill of lading was a piece of paper that was stamped, or that was stapled to it, and it said flat tire. So luckily, as I'm going to hook up to this trailer, here comes a Swift utility vehicle coming in, and he's there to repair the tire. So cool. So it took me about another 20-25 minutes to get out of that facility, which wasn't bad. Thank goodness they had already done the work for me to get that trailer fixed, because I know that is a pain in the neck thing. But the tires were, that tire was virtually falling off the rim. And so the gentleman came in, fixed it, got me back on the road in 20 minutes. Make sure that you are logging on your bill of lading, that you are logging the time that you arrive and the time that you leave your shipper and your finals. I actually got it stamped. I got a stamp created. I'm waiting for it to come in through VistaPrint, where I can just stamp on there, arrived at shipper, departed shipper, arrived at final, departed final. I can put that on the bill of lading, and, you know, if I'm sitting there for more than 2 hours or something, start getting paid for that time, that detention time. So that's another lesson. Make sure that you don't have to go and get a stamp created, but, you know, write that arrival and departure information, the date and the time, on your bill of lading. All right, and make sure that you are getting your detention paid based off of your company's policy. If you're not, you need to say something. All right. So the next lesson learned, this was a hard lesson learned. It wasn't for me, but it was for the gentleman that had it. I was sitting in I can't remember what facility this was, but it was in PA, and I was doing a live unload. So I was, my truck was sitting, waiting for it to be finished. Whatever, they told me it would take about an hour or so. So I did that. I'm sitting there waiting, and across the way, I'm watching another gentleman trying to back his tractor and hook up into his trailer. So I'm like, all right, cool. After a while, I see his trailer jump. And it was a weird jump. It wasn't like you see it move when Kingpin chain goes in. It's not like that, right? What I saw was the trailer actually jump. So what that tells me is that, and when you go to some of these facilities to pick up an empty or load, some of these trailers, I don't know if it's the driver's doing it, leaving it like that, or if it's the yard jockeys leaving it like that. Some of these trailers are sitting high, so when you go to back in, you're not gonna hook it, okay? And if you're not careful, you're gonna do just like this gentleman did and jump. I'm not gonna say what company he belonged to. He just wasn't a Swift driver. I know that, but I will not be unprofessional and say what company he belonged to, right? But anyway, so in another video, I explained, with my hand, kind of, sort of how the fifth wheel looks. So where the scar is on my hand, that's the top of the fifth wheel. When my hands are going down, that's the forks that lead to the back of the fifth wheel. Hold on, I got this guy. I think he's just gonna push me out of a lane all quick. Now I'm gonna play with him. So anyway, so what happened was when he went to push in, and it had been raining that day. When he went to back in, I noticed when he got to a certain point, his drive tires started spinning. I figured it was just the rain until I saw that trailer jump. So what happened was the trailer was too high. Well, actually, I'm sorry, it was too low. And he went to force it in, and the kingpin shank pushed over top of the fifth wheel, and if it wasn't for the spare tire on the back of his tractor, that trailer would have pushed through the cat. Got lucky for that spare tire. And it must have been an empty or very light trailer. So after this happens, I see some pieces fall off of this tractor. I go over and I'm looking, and I'm like, man. So he didn't understand. This is something I learned from one of my mentors. He didn't understand that the trailer has a couple different gears. There's a fast gear, there's a slow gear, there's a gear for raising the trailer, and there's a gear for lowering the trailer. Okay? He was trying to pull. He was trying to drive forward. And what he was going to end up doing was causing more damage to the trailer and damage to his tractor as far as the fifth wheel is concerned. So I told him to stop. All right? And I said, look, back your tractor up about a half a foot. That's going to pull it off of that fifth wheel. That's going to move the fifth wheel off of the kingpin shank. Set your brakes, and then we're going to move the trailer up. And he was like, I didn't know you could do that. I said, yeah. So I showed him how to lift the trailer up. We lifted the trailer up, got the kingpin shank over top of the fifth wheel. He was able to pull forward. And then I showed him how to lower the trailer again. So now he was able to go in and hook up and go do his business. So the lesson learned here is don't just get out and look just because you're backing your trailer, or you're backing your bobtail into a parking space. Get out and look when you're going to hook up. All right, and this is the sequence that I use. Once I've identified my trailer and I've got my tractor in front of it, I back up and I put my first drive wheel underneath the trailer. First drive wheel only. All right, I get out and look. All right, now what I'm looking for is to see if when I go to put the second set of drive wheels underneath, will it lift the trailer and put the trailer flush with the fifth wheel plate? All right? If that looks good, then I get back in, I back up a little bit, I'll put the second set of drive wheels underneath. All right? Now, when I get out and look this time, I'm definitely checking to make sure that the trailer is sitting flush on top of the fifth wheel. And then I go underneath and I check the kingpin shank. Is the kingpin shank going to go into the fifth wheel locking zone? All right. Once I've identified that and I know I'm good to go, then I continue to back in, roll my windows down, make sure that I can hear the clink once it locks in, and I do my tug test. All right. What this does when you're doing your get out and look, it will save you from the heartache that this gentleman had to experience. So when you do get out and look and you realize that your trailer is a little high or a little low, then you can adjust your trailer higher or lower and save yourself some heartache. It'll cost you a little bit of time, but you can adjust it, okay? And then you'll be good to go. You'll be ready to roll out. So get out and look when you're back in your trailer. Get out and look when you're back in your bobtail. Don't just take it for granted. Get out and look when you're hooking up. All right? It only takes, that whole sequence that I did takes maybe 30 seconds to do. Maybe 30 seconds. Once you got your tractor lined up, maybe 30 seconds to do. Okay? And it's 30 seconds of you doing that as opposed to an hour sitting in your boss's office explaining to them why you damaged company equipment. All right? So it's too easy. You know, they talk about this, and I think every trucking company talks about get out and look. There's a reason for it. Okay, you can't see everything by sitting inside the cab. Now, if I had a day cab, a lot of day cabs have that back window. I back in, I can actually look from inside the cab and see if I'm good to go, right? Still kind of sort of get out and look. Or it's more of a get up and look, but you're still checking. You know, and that was one thing that I will carry with me from military. As leaders, they would teach us to check, and recheck. And that's what I'm doing. So, my first month as a solo Swift driver, I've learned a lot. Have I had some frustrations? Yes, but I think that is going to be with any new driver. You're going to have some frustrations. You're going to have some worries. You know, my first probably 2 weeks that I was driving, I called my driver leader so much he definitely got to know who I am by face. Like, he sees me, he's like, hey, what's going on, by my name and all of that, right? But expect that. You know, if you have questions, it's better to ask and get the correct answer than to go and do something and screw up, and now you got even more problems. So now, you know, after my first month, I've gotten, you know, a lot more comfortable backing on my own. I've gotten a lot more comfortable with going into truck stops, because truck stops for me just, like, when I was driving on the Mentor's truck, it was like, I don't like truck stops. Truck stops aren't that bad. All right? A lot more space in these truck stops than you think there are. And just take your time, just like anything else. But the more you back, the more confident you will become too. So anytime you get a chance to practice backing, do it. Even if you practice your back one time, and then you sit and then you go and then you park somewhere else, that's fine. Just practice your backing. You know, it'll make you a better truck driver, because I'll tell you this, anybody can move a truck forward for the most part. Once you've got the training, you can move the truck forward. The skill is coming in to play when you're maneuvering that truck through tight spaces and you're parking. That's where the skill comes from. I mean, you can take the truck and drive it forward in a generally straight line and pretty much get to where you need to get to, but when it comes to maneuvering in tight spaces and parking. That's where the true skill comes in. So practice, 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 pre-trip, 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 and communicate. The biggest things that I could tell you as a first month solo driver, the biggest things that'll keep you out of trouble. All right, and pre-plan. You know, and you'll be fine. So with that being said, the Ghost Rider. I'm in Baltimore here. I'm going to go visit some family. And then I'm going to get back. And for those of you who've been watching my videos, I'm also playing American Truck Simulator. It is a way that I keep my skills sharp when I'm not physically on the truck. It is a very real truck simulator. It even has a Qualcomm on it, but you're not doing your inputs. That's the only thing. But you can see a whole lot of vital information as far as your loads, your pickups, and stuff like that. So follow me, Ghost Rider. You'll see my videos pop up, live videos. I'm probably going to do a run today as soon as I get back. So probably somewhere around 12 or 1. I'm probably going to be online doing that. And, just be safe out there for my real truck drivers. Be safe. Take your time, communicate, and, keep that hammer down, all right? All right, y'all be safe out there. Ghost Rider out.